Okay. So first, go over selections. Um, so I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but never really like actually talked about it as a specific topic. Um, this the one of the standard toolbar up here, the tools, has the selection button, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Um, if you use the selection button, you can select things. And you notice, I think, yeah, so I've selected that polygon, right? Now, one of the things that they go over that's important is if you can't select something, it's probably because it's not selectable. So you can go up here and use the list by selection bar to pick the things that are selectable. You can see the things that are selected first in this area, and then you can see the things that are selectable here, and then the things that are not selectable. Let's say you want to make parcels selectable, you'd click on this little box here, and they would pop up to the selectable section. And you say you want to make driveways not selectable, you can click on that little button, and it will shoot driveways down here. The things that are bright here are things that are layers that are actually on in the map, and the things that are grayed out are layers that are off, not visible. And here you can do some. Oh no, that's just to make them selectable. So the other thing to know is, I mean, there's ways to select these things, which I usually just use a box, but but you can draw a circle and select things in a rare case where you'd need to. The main thing that I use though is, so when I'm doing selections, very often I'll only want to select one thing, and I find this menu difficult to deal with. So I will just go in and say, let's say I want to select parcels. I can just right click on that layer and go to selection and say make this the only selectable layer, and then you see that that's the only thing. It's selected now, but it's the only thing that is selectable. So if I click on the map, even though there's all that data there, it'll only select the parcels. And then, so the important thing to know is if you click on one, then it's like, well, how do you add another parcel to your selection? There's a way to do all this fancy selection methods that they go over in the reading, but really the easiest way is just, if you want to add something to your selection, you just hold Shift, and then you just keep clicking. And if you keep holding Shift and you click on one again, it will just remove it. So those are the main things about working with selections. And the reason to mention it is when we do all these queries, it's going to return a set, it's going to select things in your data. So you're going to have to know, like, kind of, well, what do you do from there, So let's do an example of one of these. The two places where you do most of your queries are, for example, in the parcels, if you go to the attribute table, when they talk about select by attributes in the book, this is going to be where you do all that. So if you go to this little box up here, and you do select by attributes, you get this window, which is, this is basically the what we're going to talk about today. This and another similar, couple of similar types of boxes. So in this box, of course, you can start with create a new, like the different things going down from the top are this method, which I don't typically use anything besides create a new selection, right? But you could do, I want to search for things and then remove them, but it gets complicated, so I would say stick with create a new selection. Then in this window here, you'll get every field in the data, so every thing you could do a query on. So what I'll let's look for something to search on. So let's do owner name. It doesn't mean anything that I clicked on it when you select like a field. It's only when you select records that it matters. So if I go in here and I type, okay, I gotta scroll down to owner name. Okay, so now once I see owner name, I can do a couple of things. One is just click on it once, so it's highlighted. 90% of the time, what I'll do is click on it once and then say get unique values. This will give you a list of everything that's in the data, and you'll see why that's important in the next step. So now you're ready to build your query. You build a query by, first of all, double-clicking on the field name. So you're going to tell it, it already knows you're in this data, and you can see as it's like building it, this select star from parcels SJ where is the first part of the query, which we don't have to worry about because we're already in ArcMap, we're in a table. All we got to worry about is saying, okay, we're going to look in this field for this stuff. So if we do owner name and then equals, so it's the same as Armstrong, Morrison, Hand, whoever that is, and then we say apply, you see it'll select 2 parcels. So if we go to the selection, you can see these are the 2 parcels that Armstrong, Morrison, Hand owns. So then if we go back here, we can say right click on parcels and say selection, zoom to selected features, and now we can see the 2 that Armstrong owns. Did that make sense? So then we can also do something like so if we have a number field, you'll see there's all these operators, right? And these are how we were talking about with the Boolean. You can see here and or, and then we'll talk about like, and then these are basically just like in math, where greater than, less than, equal to, not equal to would be the 2 going against each other, greater than or equal to, you know. You guys all familiar with that stuff? That's, yeah, and those are basically the ones that I use, right? So if it's a number and you want to say value is greater than 500,000, which we can do. Let's figure out which field the value is in. You know, one thing to always know is you can only do greater than on a number because it's got to be like something that can have a value associated with it. And if you do equals, you can do it on a number or text. But just be aware that when you start to do that, if it doesn't work, that could be one of the reasons why. So we're over here in the data. I know there's owner name or value in here. Current, I think that's sale price. Did you see the sale? All right, let's just assume that this current owner, I think that would be sale price, SAL. So I just sorted it, double clicked on it a couple times. It makes sense that there's only one parcel in Biddeford for over like $1 million. Is that 15 million? $15 million. So let's check that out because I'm interested to see. So what I did there is I just double clicked on this little nub and that will zoom to it even though I'm not looking at the map. How can that be 15 million? I suppose it's a pretty big parcel. Yeah, it must be some institution or something. Let's see. MMACHT. It's a LLC. Let's see what they do. So it's pretty common that the parcel layer is the best to. Oops. Well, maybe maybe they don't want people to be able to figure out who they are. That could be it too. So anyway, I digress there. So let's say we want to search for all parcels greater than some amount of money. So if we go over in the table again, select by attributes, and we can say that I think it was current sal. Yeah, current owned sal. And I could be wrong about the meaning of this field. The way that we find out for real what these mean is go to the website, the Biddeford GIS website, and see if they have documentation on what these fields actually mean. So then I could type in, so you saw what I did. I clicked on the field, and then I put a greater than. And then one thing you can do in this little box here is I do 500,000. You can see it'll like pop me down there, because if there's sometimes there's just tons of values in there. And then I just double click on, so you saw that would have been a problem. So if it was set up like that, it would have not worked. Or like we can see what it would say, invalid statement. I didn't realize it would cancel me out, but all right, so it saved it at least. So we know we got to put the greater than here. So apply. So I've already sorted it, so that's why I picked everything at the top. So in the exercise questions, they ask a lot about, okay, so select or how many houses are over $500,000, and then what percentage of the total houses is that, right? So you'd have to look down here and say, all right, 351 got selected. That's how many are greater than 500,000. And then there's 8,600 or so total, so you just get the percentage from that. So we can see where they are concentrated. Kind of all over the place, but as you might expect, the big parcels down here are more valuable. And a few near UNE. Is that what you? No, that's downtown. Okay, anyway. So that's essentially a quick select by attributes. Let me just stop